And welcome back once again to the spring playoffs here for the PCS. I am so excited to see what happens next because Deep Cross are going over to blue side Nightstar. We'll see how they shift up the draft for game at number 2 after a big loss over to PSG, just dominating right now in this first one. But before we do get into that, I want to take another moment to thank our sponsors yet again, CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for supporting the PCS. So, Nightstar, we were talking a little bit in the break about what we want to see more out of Deep Cross. We, as expected, are going to see them on the blue side. What do you think they should do on first rotation?
I think it's making sure they get them a favorable bot lane matchup. I think that was a core issue coming in from game number 1 where Criscata ended up being put in a situation where he does get 1v1. I don't mind the MF pick, right? Because compositionally, it made a lot of sense. The issue was when your early game plans go down the drain, you need some sort of fallback plan, and MF just didn't cut it, right? Yes, you have some of that mid-game wombo potential, but the late game is just not there.
Absolutely, and there just wasn't a lot of damage elsewhere. Like, that's the issue. They had Leaky on a tank, and he got completely shut down. Hana never really got to roll, and I think one of the issues is that Hana is not necessarily the fastest ganking jungler. That's one of the reasons we don't usually see him on champions like the Viego. I feel like there is an issue that this team has, is that they don't really put a lot of damage on their mid laners, so a lot of it is falling to the top and to the bottom. We'll see how things change up here as we do see a Xayah ban opened up blue side by Deep Cross. I think they do want to get Criscata on that Jinx.
And they go ahead ban away the Lee Sin as well, so maybe they're either looking at an Aphelios Jinx opening. If both are available, I would assume that they just allow the handshake to happen and they'll perhaps look to just lock into Hecarim, but actually it will be a Hecarim taken off the table. So that's a little bit surprising. And then in that case, it will most likely be that focused around the AD carry handshake.
Okay, so the Renata Glass gets banned by PSG yet again. They actually are going to first pick the Ahri because they can still take the handshake, and this is a great takeaway from Bay Nightstar.
Yeah, Nesty, he didn't really showcase it during the regular split. He played only one game of it, but he did showcase it during the playoffs. And I mean, it wasn't super flashy during the lane phase, but when it came to setting up plays for the team, this is one of those mid lane control of mage assassin-y sort of champions that can get the job done in that manner.
Yeah, I really liked what we saw out of it in the later stages of the game up against the likes of Binji and Beyond Gaming last week. So that's the opportunity for Deep Cross here. On the counter side, PSG do opt to take the Jinx. Looking for another engaged champion for Juhan. I do think the Volibear is right up his alley. I don't think he's actually played at this split, though. One of the few junglers to not pick up the bear, but that changes today.
Yeah, hasn't actually picked up a game of Volibear yet, but it does, of course, fit the more sort of mid-game ganking style jungler that he is. He's been playing a lot of, right? With the Hecarim, with the Lee Sin, and DCG, as expected, they'll go ahead, lock themselves into Aphelios. The matter is, the next question is what they're going to pair up with the Aphelios, as I would fully expect them to go for support here.
Yeah, I agree with you because it'd probably get banned away otherwise. And I don't know what I want to see on Woody, right? I mean, we talked about how he has a tendency to get a little bit out of position. His engages are sometimes kind of scuffed, but you know what? He's going to go back to the tried and true, his Nautilus.
He will go ahead and pick up Nautilus once more, and we'll see what PSG go ahead and respond with. I would also expect them to lock in some sort of support pick. Could be the Recon if they wanted to go back towards it. But the current hover is the Leona, and I would say this matchup is slightly Nautilus favored, but Leona is just very, very impressive when she does get snowballed as well. And she also has the ability to go Glacial Augment and still be relatively tanky. Whereas on the flip side, if Nautilus goes Glacial Augment, you are just kind of going in on a one-way trip. Even if you are ahead, sometimes you will still get blasted because of the lack of extra durability that you get from that Keystone.
For sure. Kaiwing, most played champion for him this split too. Definitely a very comfortable, very standard type of choice. Oh, look at this. The Vygar ban in the mid lane up against the side of the Ahri. Yeah, against Bay. Okay. I wonder if we see the Vex as well, pair of Yordles. For PSG, they've already banned out the Trundle for Hana. And yeah, the Viego as well. Honestly, this kind of leaves just his Xin Zhao as far as like champions we've really seen a ton of him on. I kind of feel like the Jarvan is an opportunity to come out here. They can really set up a lot of good picks. That might be the choice. But other than that, I'm not really sure what we'd see Hana on.
Yeah, champions he's played during the split. Hecarim, they banned. Xin still left available. Diana still left available. Lee Sin banned away. Trundle banned away, and Volibear. So if we're going to something he has played during the regular season, you're looking at Xin, you're looking at Diana. But with the really just a lot of mid-game power coming in from Volibear and LeBlanc, I'm keen to see what DCG do with the rest of this draft to try and mitigate the explosive potential coming in from PSG here.
Yeah, they're going to have to blind pick up in the top side. Ooh, I like this. Okay. Getting a little bit of dive on right there for Hana. The
Kill
Nocturne.
Unified.
We have seen those tank Nocturne builds to get the stick, and we're also going to get the Tryndamere. All right, a couple of speedy boys.
This is pretty much full dive coming in from DCG, and it means that Aphelios will be left on his own devices. Bay put on to, I believe, his first game of LeBlanc, so this is a very different playstyle champion for Bay here, and it looks like Hanabi will go ahead and lock himself in this Gnar. He's played plenty of games on this champion, and he's been exceptionally comfortable on it, so I fully expect Hanabi to do pretty well up here. But DCG, they take yet another bit of a change in draft, but it still is all about this top half of the map regardless.
Yeah, it does feel a lot less risky though, right? Like, I mean, we got really excited about the Sejuani Viego, but the difference this time is you're putting the damage brunt on Leaky versus Hana, and I think that makes a lot more sense, not just given what we saw last game, but also given what we've seen all split long, is that Hana's not necessarily the big damage-dealing carry in the early game. Sure, he has his Diana games, he can definitely pop off, but I think I really like this diving Nocturne. We've seen a lot of the tank build come out in leagues around the world. I'm thinking of like the LCS, for instance. They really like to go for that and just get into the backline to set up the picks, to set up the kills. Everyone's going diving. The Aphelios is left at home. That's fine. He's got a turret. As long as he can stay alive, Criscata is going to have a good game. We'll see if Deep Cross can make this interesting. They certainly always make the drafts interesting, Nightstar.
Yeah, but I also want to focus on what PSG have drafted for themselves, because this composition, if you rewind a split ago, this is pretty much the premier PSG comp. That is not the case this split.
Yeah, that ain't Maple, man.
Yeah, it's all about tempo with this composition. Bay has really yet to play a big assassin game. Yes, he had that one Silas game that he did pop off really, really hard, but at the same time, they had scaling going their way as well. This time, if they don't get snowballed ahead in the mid game, I see a lot of concerns headed into late game.
Absolutely. We have seen Bay on Vex. We have seen him on Ahri. So it's not that we haven't seen him play assassin-y champions, but we've certainly not seen something like this LeBlanc. And it'll be curious to see how the mid lane goes. Very electric. It's a couple of electrocutes starting out in that mid lane. No surprises there as we get underway. Glacial Augment's actually on the Nautilus side. So Nightstar Kaiwing has actually opted to instead go for Aftershock.
Yeah, going for the Aftershock here instead of the Glacial Augment. I mean, both Keystones are very, very viable and don't have a whole lot of issues with either. And it will be a late invade that will get spotted out here, but they won't do anything. It's just going to be a ward onto Raptors. Nothing special there. And yeah, so nothing too flashy. Level 1, and it makes a lot of sense for PSG, right? They want to just kind of play safe, make sure that they get to play their game. They don't. They're a team that just, hey, if we don't need to change anything, why should we?
Exactly, and I think it's on Deep Cross to prove that they are going to need to make the change. Now, Leaky is going to hope to have a little bit of a more fun top lane this time, but unfortunately, Hanabi knows the matchup. Hanabi knows how to deal with this. He just tosses a couple of boomerangs his way, and he's going to trade out a little more efficiently. Pre-6, I think Leaky could have a slightly hard time here. Juhan going to get that great start off on the Volibear. Himself the blue buff leashed over to the Gromp, and ooh, Woody does go in early for some trading. Unfortunately, hooks a minion.
Yeah, doesn't get the lollipop in that instance, and eats a little bit of a health trade. Unified going for a ward, okay. It is against, of course, Nocturne, so you're not too worried about early ganks coming in from this champion. Wants to hit level 6, and that's when he starts making these moves on the map. And I think it makes a lot of more sense for DCG, because Hana on the Viego wasn't very proactive at all, trying to force plays, ended up farming to level 6, and that's not what you want to see on early game Viego. You want to see a little bit more action in certain drafts, and that was definitely a draft that he was really just primed to be the main carry of, that he didn't take the reins of.
Absolutely. I think that was trouble for Deep Cross for sure. I do want to take a minute to talk a little bit about Nesty on this Ahri, because you're right, we didn't see it. Okay, I'll talk about it later, because the hook does land this time. Not a whole lot of trading. There we go. We didn't see this at all out of him during the regular split, even as Ahri started to become more and more fashionable for the mid lane. And when he does bring it out, it's up against the likes of Minji, who was playing Twisted Fate both times. And it was okay. In lane, definitely not as impressive. But in the late game, he definitely started to pop off. Fairly defensive build. Juhan going to be wandering in now, too, with the bottom side. Woody quick flash away, but followed up by Juhan. Kriskata back to the safety of the tower.
Juhan.
Exhaust and ignite, and oh, dear. That's going to be first blood for Deep Cross. PSG thought they had it in the bag. They got taken down.
Ooh, that was a big misplay coming in from Juhan there. Flashes forward when there's really no reason to, and gets massively punished because he gets stunned within turret range. That turret adds in just enough damage for the side of Deep Cross to secure themselves that first kill. And now, okay, they want double buffs.
They do. Woody a little low, though, unfortunately. I think he's going down in the trade. Flashes for it.
Could be 2 kills.
Kriskata going to try for the 1v1. Yeah, I think they're just going to trade it right back here. Kriskata, oh, he flashes at the final second. Unified lives! And the trade goes right back.
Oh my lord, it's just a massive disaster. It's just not, it's not even a small disaster. That's potentially just game number 2.
That's a throw. That's a 4-minute throw, Nice Star. Let's watch this again. Woody just face checks this brush, and he gets caught, takes a bunch of damage, and they opt to try and fight this. Kriskata could have just walked away. He thought he got the outplay, but oh man. And then he loses his nerve at the last second. I think that's rookie mistakes, rookie nerves right there.
Yeah, ends up flashing downwards instead of up towards the river. Maybe that would buy him some extra time to make his escape, but 2-0 for PSG. The rookies not looking too great. Both Leaky and Kriskata underperforming at the start of this series, and that's not what you want to see, given how much low damage percentage Nesty has.
Yeah, all right, Bay, gonna find 4 members in his lane.
Everyone is
all the CC misses. He just says, all right, I didn't invite y'all to the party. What the heck just happened? Meanwhile, up at the top, it's just trades of health once again. But PSG once again having a great time, despite an early whiff on the bot gank. A mistake by Juhan gets completely gifted back over to Unified, and it's Boots' advantage right now. He's got 150 bounty, and it's 5 minutes. Charm on.
A little bit disgusting, and as a result, with that early bot advantage, they're going to rotate over for this Fire Dragon. Should be easily secured there, no problem. And I mean, Kriskata and Woody, at the very least, were able to burn the flash on to Bay, so that will be a summoner burned, and they didn't lose necessarily a ton off of that roam, since they don't want to lane as much as possible at the moment because of I don't know if they look comfortable laning. So anytime you're able to move out and get a change of scenery, that's going to be a little bit helpful.
It's true, but you do want to try and at least keep up in the experience and in the farm. Unified does have a level advantage over Criscata right now. It's a good thing they did build a little more late game insurance, right, Nightstar? Because at the moment they are looking like they're going to need it. I don't know if that one play alone is enough to make the entire laning phase a wash. It certainly makes bot lane real rough, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all of a sudden Unified is accelerated like 3 minutes. With that extra gold. So he is in a fantastic spot in this game. As Juhan will be able to secure the crab and make out like a bandit. So DCG, though, at the very least, they are on the board. They didn't have to wait forever to get into the game, and this gold lead is very much doable.
Yeah, it's definitely something that Deep Cross can come back from in this one. I do think Nesty has been playing relatively well up against the side of Bay, hasn't had an opportunity to get the solo kill. We certainly are going to be keeping our eyes on how well Bay can pilot the LeBlanc because, we wanted to see if PSG had some different picks in their pockets, if they can play some more of this, some more of these champions that have been more in vogue for other mid laners that Bay hasn't necessarily been tested on. But with a farm advantage right now, hasn't gone down, did burn his flash. I want to see if Deep Cross make a return play because Hana is now level 6, going to go on the Rift Herald, and we'll have to see where he ends up trying to drop it. Meanwhile, Leaky avoids the damage from Hanabi, does get Nard against the wall. Chickens on into the mini Gnar form, can't really chase any further though. He's forced to back out. Juhan, meanwhile, going to be moving into Deep Cross jungle, doesn't face check Criscata
wait.
yet. Oh, unfortunate. They pass like ships in the night.
I don't know if they passed each other, but Nesty trying to make a play.
Oh. Okay, they do land the charm onto Kaiwing into the hook. That's going to be the kill onto Kaiwing. Criscata gets it back, and that is sorely needed for Deep Cross's bot lane.
Very, very well executed coming in from DCG. Kaiwing gets punished in that instance. And it was a bit of they tried to fall back to the turret, but they had such a long ways to walk that Nesty, with so many dashes on the Ahri, able to capitalize.
Yeah, no, that was a really good play. A nice setup. It does mean that Bay does get a little bit of free push in mid, but this is an ST special. Get the roam on, get the lane gank on. You got to keep in mind with Deep Cross, it's not just the jungler that's coming to the party. Just about everybody can. So really nice play by him, and it does crucially give the kill over to Criscata. They also played well around the flash timing for Kaiwing as Unified launches a cheeky rocket to stop the back.
Yeah, able to stop the backs. That's actually sort of important, right? Because they do have a level advantage down in this bot lane still. So if you're able to keep them in lane, you still have a lot of trading power. However,
Hana's around.
Is hanging out towards this bottom side, which means that it will be very difficult for them to force that advantage. So now, as things stand, we get to see the gold differential, and Unified still 600 gold ahead of Criscata, but Criscata is the highest income member on the side of DCG, and he is, at the very least, able to stay ahead of everyone else on the side of PSG, so it makes for an interesting mid-game where the Philios can be stronger than the Jinx because Jinx really explodes at that 3-item break.
Yeah, and critically, that gold lead that Unified has, that's the entire gold lead in the game right now. So everywhere else on the map, it's actually going relatively even despite some farm differentials. You see Leaky actually has a bit of an edge over Hanabi here, having a much better game. And he doesn't really have to do as much. Sure, he has a lot of kill threat at the moment, but he can now just use that to try and deny. I feel like if you're Hanabi, you actually don't want to go Mega Gnar because you're forced into melee range. Hana still sitting on that Eye of the Rift Herald, going to look for an opportunity. Got to be careful not to go too deep as Juhan is here. Kaiwing and Unified going to get spotted in Tri-Brush, and it's Ward Wars down on the bottom side.
Yep, Ward Wars, but will be one out by DCG, and the ward game is very, very important here for PSG because of the fact that they have to deal with a champion like Nocturne who can just well, level 1 ult isn't that far, but it's still very dangerous as they are setting up a bit of a Fnatic bush.
Hana gonna just pop the Rift Herald blind at the moment. They don't know this is happening, but they're gonna
Waiting
call
for
a bluff
Ari to show
anyways.
up.
Yeah, Chris Scott is really far forward. This is going to be a flash. You have to think, oh, he gets cut off as he tries to dodge it. In goes the volley bear. Chris Scott is able to flash away, can't escape all of the CC. The Stormbringer, but a Moonlight Vigil is going to be enough to turn this one around. Unified is still picking up the kill.
Oh,
And
Nestie's
Nestie's coming to the party, but so is Faye into the Charm Orb of Deception with a huge shutdown, as they should be able to clean up onto Kaiwing as well. Faye's bailing out, and it's 2 kills for the mid lane of Deep Cross Gaming.
Oh, and it's finally a big trade for the side of DCG. They're able to win out 3-4-2 in that instance. And a bit of a misposition coming in from Unified. He flashes forward to get that first reset, but he continues to play very far forward. And as a result, Nesty is able to swoop on in like Batman and finish off the kill on to Unified. Get that shutdown, and that's so much gold going into the pockets of these DCG carries.
Man, Chris Scott honestly should have been dead to rights here. He burns both his summoners to get away, nearly manages it, turns a big Moonlight Vigil, and Unified has absolute tunnel vision. Gets the reset, and then he's just caught in no man's land. Nesty shows up at the perfect time, and I do think we are seeing Nesty show up a little more on this Ahri than Bay is on the LeBlanc.
Yeah, so far, Nesty able to influence the map, but Hana in
dragon
trouble.
fight. Yeah, Hana's going to be taken so low in this one. Didn't get the opportunity. No paranoia either. Now it's Deep Cross who are caught out in no man's land. That is going to be the Gale Force pop. They try to turn a fight, but they're sandwiched. Just Unified is going to open this one up, looking for Woody on the reset. Burns his flash to try and get away. Lands in the Sky Splitter, and he's just slowed for days as he hooks his way to freedom. The chase continues, Nightstar. Woody tries to escape through all the CC. The big bear's coming. Oh no, Nesty! He whiffs out of the charm, and finally they take him down. Meanwhile, Unified's just free farming, free pushing.
Oh my god, it was a little bit labored for that last kill, but the job is done nonetheless, and they will secure themselves plates in the bot lane, a bunch of more kills, and that additional dragon. So everything really going PSG's way in that last fight, and now Hanabi just dumps his cooldowns, trying to get a little bit extra poke here. So far in this top lane, it's been, you know, nothing too flashy. It's just been kind of almost like a tank battle in that it's just been farming back and forth. But Hana gets caught out, and the moment he gets caught out, like DCG, they want to collapse on this. The bot lane wants to collapse, but because he dies, all of a sudden, they're the ones stuck in the middle of nowhere. And there's just nothing Nesty can do in that situation. Everyone's dying around him. He's just like, all my friends are dead.
Yeah, no, it's the worst feeling. So it does mean Unified gets a few more pop-offs, has himself a gold bounty now, and 4-1 on a Jinx is a score you're pretty happy with at about 15 minutes. Gets the dragon as well. Hana really has to be careful about the positioning as he just gets caught out. They were trying to flank, but he's not the tanky Nocturne. He doesn't really have a whole lot to sustain himself. Sure, the Stride Breaker's great to stick, but he needs to be the one initiating. So other mythics starting to come online here. Nesty does buy himself the Everfrost, and they can still look for fights, but this is the mid-game. This is the time that PSG are going to be feeling at their best. I think Bay has not been all that impressive comparatively, but he doesn't have to be, right?
He hasn't had to be, but this time around...
Good Gale Force. There we go, into the Paranoia. Jinx. That was the turn, and do they have the damage? As the flash was not necessary. Kaiwing covering. He didn't actually have the flash, excuse me, as they do get the sack on. Nesty's going to get away, meanwhile, in the mid, but a great job of protect the president. Kaiwing able to keep Unified alive.
Yeah, able to protect that 150 bounty. Yes, Unified, after he just got shut down, comes back with the kill and instantly back onto another bounty. So it was a well worth trade for Kaiwing in that instance, being able to protect the gold bounty on to Unified. But for DCG, they get themselves yet another kill. They are able to just keep on applying pressure onto this Jinx pick. And I think the other thing from this draft for DCG is just we see that they're trying to just focus down onto one target in both of these first games, right? The first one was about just locking down Hanabi over and over again. And this time, it's about killing Unified over and over again.
If they can. I mean, that's the issue. Unified even going for the Phantom Dancer. As the Rift Herald is popped in mid, that will get the charge off. Unified should be able to clear that away with trouble. But Deep Cross, you can see that they're playing a little more defensive this time, playing a little more scared. It's a 4v4 with no teleports available topside to join this fight. But they don't want to take it. This is the time in the game where they're going to have a harder time. Juhan on that big bear front line, going to be able to keep them at arm's length. Meanwhile, we just see trades up in the top. It's a farm advantage for Leaky. That's honestly the only difference we've had this game, although he's taking a lot of boomerang shots. Got to be careful there. Tries to turn for the 1v1, and oh, my word! He didn't even get to hit his R button.
Oh, no.
What happened?
Well,
I want to see that replay. I don't even care that Hanabi died. I mean, that's revenge. That's defending your top laner's honor. But Leaky, where was your R, my dude?
Oh, Leaky having a bit of a rough start to his playoff career. But now,
okay, good Gale.
A good Gale Force away, able to hold on to both of his summoners, but Dragon coming up in a minute. Cascada, we'll see if he's able to stop this back. Nope, unable to. So now coming in to this next Dragon fight for the side of PSG, they'd like to play things a little bit slow here because they do have the LeBlanc, a bit more of a poke assassin mage, right? You just want to have her jump across the wall, get a bunch of burst damage onto a single target, and essentially eliminate them from the fight. They don't. It doesn't have to get the kill, but if you chunk them out a whole lot, then it doesn't matter if you don't get the kill because they're still gonna have to go in for a back. And Hana,
not again.
He's dead.
That's half his health bar.
Essentially dead.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And a flash.
Not dead. He is a ghost, though. I'll give you that. Man, Hana is not going to be very useful for a little bit.
Oh,
he does have an ult.
okay.
He does hit level 11. That's critical. But Nessie, the flash forward into the charm, into the hook, into the everything onto Juhan, and he's just tanking it all right now. But they don't have enough damage to shred through him. Leaky around the backside.
Leaky's
gonna
here.
open up, but he's taken so well. This time, he gets the Undying Rage, and they've got to go to try and get a big shutdown. Meanwhile, Bay in the backline can't find the priority target they wanted. And he turns and tries to juke it out, but the focus is on Bay so low in the pit, but they don't get him. One kill for none, though, after all that.
And ends up being a labored effort for one kill, but the health bar advantage in clear favor for the side of DCG, so they will have the priority over on this mid tower and also onto the Dragon. So it should be them turning their attention onto Dragon now. Hana still has a smite available even after using it onto Raptors. Juhan, though, perhaps interested in challenging, has smite of his own.
This is dangerous. Yeah, I gotta try to go for it. And it's gonna get secured up, but Hana will finally go down. Meanwhile, PSG gonna try to make him pay for cutting down the Drake stack here. Nesty gonna wait, should land that charm into the combo and the Orb of Deception, into the root.
Great Everfrost.
Excellent, great Everfrost on that to stop it. So they do manage to get the tower, get the Dragon, and let's see how this all started after Hana was completely chunked. Leaky waits around the side, and keep your eyes on Nesty, because this man has got the magic fingers.
He flashes forward to get the Everfrost, and Juhan was never given an opportunity to use that ultimate until at pretty much the very end. And the other thing was the teleport coming in from the Gnar. He comes in as mini Gnar, so doesn't have the opportunity to swing the fight over up in that top side. Before he teleported in, he was Mega, so once he teleports in, there's no chance for him to get Mega Gnar back because it just expired. So that is PSG not having the fight window right there, and DCG able to take advantage. So these are the small openings that we expect to see coming out of DCG, being able to leverage those advantages into small wins. But they need more than just that. They need this next Dragon. They need a Baron, because as it stands now, PSG's, yes, this is a mid-game composition, but it's still unified on the Jinx.
That's true. There's always pop-up potential there. But speaking of the Jinx, The tables have turned here, Nightstar, as there's now a bounty on the Aphelios as he was able to pick up the kill. Really nice juggling as obviously Unified goes ahead and pops a stopwatch. It lets them set up for the opportunity that instead of Leaky getting the kill, they give it over to Criscata. He buys a Bloodthirster with the proceeds, so he's going to have more sustain going into this game. And now we are going to see a much more even game at the 22-minute mark. The Drake stack has been cut. Critically, we also have this Hexgate Rift to keep in mind. A lot of mobility, a lot of good setup. Deep Cross, one of the issues they've been running into so far in this series is they've just been outflanked by the side of PSG. Well, now they have the opportunity to cover them. Leaky does run into Juhan. Okay, Sky Splitter is going to go ahead and land there. Doesn't really matter too much. Leaky is able to dash away to freedom. And they're going to bring everybody, including Nesty, into this mid lane. And it does seem like we have ourselves a little bit of a Baron bait.
Yeah, now this is going to be interesting to see how PSG play out this mid game, because Bay is putting in a position where he has to push for more. He has to be a little bit more of a risk taker in trying to delete people, as they will force summoners. But now DCG turning
on to Juhan, forcing him to go away. Meanwhile, look at the back, though. They do have the move in. And, oh my goodness, Hana gets completely deleted as Kaiwing was just keeping the rest of the team at bay. Leaky in the back line trying to make something for it. A big shutdown there for the Aphelios. But Leaky's going to be running out of the Undying Rage. Meganar coming in. This is the second win. They can follow in. They get the Gnar against Criscata, but he is able to just get out of that. Just enough time to pick things up. And the Jinx is running wild. Nesty is absolutely going nowhere, except straight back to the fountain.
Oh my god, Pyra! All of a sudden, we talk about PSG. They need to find a way to make a play. It looked like the DCG were going to be able to bail themselves out, but they try and double down. PSG win that fight, and now this is the opening that they can use to really flip the game on its head once more. They get themselves a Baron. Now they can set up in a bit of a 1-3-1 play style. We'll see how they play from here, because it is against a pretty strong Tryndamere. But so we get to see the replay. Juhan tried to get the pick onto Woody, and they flash out. Looks like that'd be just done. That's it. But Nesty and Leaky, they come in on the flank angles, and Kaiwing, he collapses onto Criscata in an attempt to try and keep them occupied. I mean, DCG, they're just a little bit lost when it came to target focus, and because you're missing Criscata's damage on that upfront burst, they weren't able to get some of these health bars low enough, and Kaiwing comes in with the Hex Gate at the very end to also get the final stun onto Nesty.
Yeah, Deep Cross just biting off way more than they could chew after being caught out. I mean, Woody just goes a little too far forward. They spend all that engage on Juhan, and he just jumps out. Like, sure, they get him in the end, but yeah, Deep Cross just getting a little too hyphy here. Gonna have to be careful. There is another dragon live on the Rift, but PSG are just actively baiting this one. Bay's around. Unified gonna open this up. He is pretty fed, so he can kind of just do this solo if he wants. Deep Cross have to make a move if they want to go for the 5v5, and they're going to try to do it, but Leaky goes into the back, not with the rest of the team. Paranoia is going to be on, but it's just defensive. That Hexgate went a little too far, my friend.
Oh, the Hexgate, I mean... Oh no, he's...
Oh no.
Bursted out.
Okay. All right,
he does hold on to his ult, and that's the most important part, because if he's able to reset and reapply himself on maybe a flank, maybe they can still look for a fight. But now PSG get excited. They look to push for this mid-in hit.
Yeah, just that Bullet Bear zoning is just so brutal right now with the Baron Empowered push. Spending the Moonlight Vigil doesn't do nearly enough damage at all. Bay's only down to half health. Meanwhile, the rest of them, they have to turn around for this one. Nesty on the front line goes into stasis, but they're just collapsing. PSG opening up once again at Nesty, and Leaky are not long for the Rift. They try to get a deletion, but in the end, it is going to be the 4-0. Maybe they can't end it, but maybe they can, Nightstar. They're going to wait for the supers. And excuse me, they're going to wait for the Baron minions to go right in. And Hana, you don't stand a ghost of a chance. 26 minutes once again, Nightstar is all it takes, in PSG, off a couple of mistakes, take game number 2 all the way to match point.
Man, oh man, Pyra. this game looks so much different than game number 1 because it felt like DCG had a chance. They were looking good. They had a fair amount of scaling for them, maybe not necessarily in the team fight, but individually you would favor these champions. But they weren't able to keep the Jinx down, and that was the core issue. PSG, you give them that one mistake and they will take it to the bank. So even as well as DCG did at the start of game 2, this game ends in shorter time than I believe game 1.
It was very close, and yeah, it is crazy. The more things changed, the more they stayed the same. At the very end of it all, PSG just needed 1 or 2 mistakes to complete their dominance. And yeah, I liked what Deep Cross was doing, but they just need to choose their engages better. All they had to do was back off. Woody had no flash. You're out, okay, that's fine. But it just wasn't enough. And you know, we talked about how this was a 4-man dive comp. They were going to leave the affiliates to his own devices. They never actually got to do that because the moment the paranoia flipped on, Kaiwing completely derailed them. And I think Kaiwing is just like such a master disruptor when he plays something like this Leona on low cooldowns. He can just set these things up time and time again. And it ends up being a 2-0 now. On to match point, Deep Cross would need the reverse sweep to move forward in the winner's bracket.
Gonna take a whole lot of effort from the side of DCG. I did, of course, like the start this time around. They had a little bit more teeth to their composition. Last time, they just didn't have enough bite if put behind. This time around, they had the tools to force picks if they did fall into a bit of a hole. And as we do get to see the draft pulled up here, I like the Ahri. The Ahri played out very well. He was able to force action on the side, and I also don't think the LeBlanc pick was too spectacular. It still got the job done, and I think PSG will be happy with the performance. But if you're DCG, you're also happy with how the LeBlanc did, right? Because it wasn't like you were getting blown out of the water by Bae's LeBlanc.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, you talked about it at the beginning that this was kind of like the PSG Summer 2021 special, but obviously Bae is a very different player than Maple. He's not going to necessarily be the one to just pop up. He looked for kills, got a couple, played well. I do really want to give credit to Nesty. I think this is one of the few champions we see him step into a carry role on, and he played it well. It just wasn't really enough, and I got to criticize Woody, man. I think this guy gets out of position a lot. I think He's not the only one taking bad engages. Hana as well. I think those paranoias sometimes were a little iffy. His positioning was also a little off, and he was never really able to get tanky enough to withstand it. But yeah, it's good when their fights are chosen well, when they find the right target. The counter engages have been good, even when it seems to tilt in PSG's favor. But when PSG have had the positional advantage, that's when the trouble begins. Deep Cross have not been able to find an answer now for 2 games.
Yeah, and Leaky once again in this game also had some difficulty playing the game, right? A couple of moments, he just didn't time his ult well enough. And Tryndamere is one of those champions that can also struggle in some of these burst compositions because the damage just pours in a little bit too quickly for you to then set up for the Undying Rage. And I think that was the main purpose why PSG went for this LeBlanc pick, to counter out onto that Tryndamere, apply pressure to him in team fights, make him pop that ultimate early on. But once more, we've seen 2 lane phases from Leaky in this series. We also saw 4 in the previous series. Overall, in these 6 playoff games, Leaky is the player that needs to step up the most in the early game.
Yeah, and it's a tough order to do against the side of Hanabi. In the postseason, we haven't seen this guy perform nearly as well as in the regular. Admittedly, he's had quite the gauntlet to go through. First Liang, and now Hanabi, 2 of our best performers in this league. Very experienced as well. But this game around, it wasn't just his laning phase troubles. It was certainly the fact that Deep Cross just didn't quite take the fights. You saw where it all went wrong. You can really see it on the gold graph there, Nightstar. It's right about like 23 and a half minutes when they just lose a big old fight. And it happens again at the Dragon Pit, and that was really all that needed to happen. And then in the base. So that's kind of done and dusted for Game 2. I like Deep Cross's draft. I don't think they should change up as much for Game 3 here. I think they'll probably pick the blue side once again. But yeah, you got to deal with this guy if you want to get the wins. Unified just had too good of a time on this Jinx, getting very, very excited. You wouldn't know it looking at his face. He has got a stone cold killer poker face, but he certainly delivers the damage.
Yeah, Unified in that game was just the big carry PSG needed and have relied upon time and time again. Yes, Hanabi did a lot of damage with that Gnar, but you could see in this game in particular, it didn't have the big Mega Gnar impacts. And as a result, you could have seen a world where that could have played a factor, but Unified squashed all those concerns.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's he's just too good. He's the best bot laner we've got in the league. He's consistent all the time. He'll have 1 or 2 bad games to split, it seems, and then the rest, he's absolutely on fire. Definitely got to give credit to the man behind him, though. Kaiwing was a big part of that 7-2 and 7 because he was protecting, and he was also attacking Nightstar. Kaiwing does it all, and I definitely want to give him the honorable mention there, but PSG have a very, very strong duo. They have a very strong 5v5 and all that, and Deep Cross are going to have a lot to find answers for if they want to come back in the series. We'll have to find out right after this break.